Hey, Matt,
Ty,
are we on House Calls the podcast?
we are on House Calls, the podcast,
Okay.
episode 80 something.
Could be 82 or 83. We don't know yet.
Yep.
Um,
Okay.
and you're doing it outside this time again.
I am. I'm moving it. I like to move it around.
I wonder if we can set up that technology with me where I can do it outside.
I don't know. You're kind of in the woods. I don't know. Do you guys even have Wi-Fi?
We do out here. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So I recently had a tennis match with Dr. Klepper.
Yes.
And because of scheduling, we had to play at 12 noon on last Sunday. It was 110 degrees on the court.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember driving by in my air-conditioned car going, you guys are idiots.
So we are playing guys probably 20 years younger than us, I think.
Yeah. Easily.
And we hadn't touched a racket in a year, and I don't think they'd touched a racket in a year either. And Brian and I, for not having played, we started off pretty good, right?
Yes, you did.
So after 4 games, he's like, just keep it up. And I'm like, dude, I have nothing left. Like 4 games of tennis should not be that hard. I was dying, right? Shoulders are cramping up. And there was one voice I heard in my head. Can you guess who it was? I heard, take a breath, relax your jaw, relax your shoulders. And I was like, Heron Dixon is out there every morning leading meditation groups, and he's got some loyal followers. But that was the first place I went to when I was out there where I thought I might die on the tennis courts.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, again, House Calls, the podcast is is joining couples, right? We're making unions.
Yeah.
We're saving lives on tennis courts. What don't we do?
Well, I think like the thing with meditation, what Heron does is people think it's to relax, but it can help people in athletics or stressful situations. Like remember Dan Baird's episode when he talked about shooting the elk. He had no idea that how he was supposed to breathe when he was shooting. And Tom Ripley, who has a different personality than Heron, recognized the importance of breath, and that's how he taught Dan how to shoot properly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's anything you're doing, take time, like look up a video, learn how to breathe. It's great for athletics, it's great for shooting sports, it's great before you give a speech or anytime you have to do a performance.
Performance, or even getting into the cold plunge or anything.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about, is learning how to control your breath. That's what yoga really is.
Yeah. Now tonight we have a special guest who is a top performer in our little world. We have Brennan Jubb, who
Can't wait.
I'm sure he's going to mention that I was his camp counselor and probably one of the greatest mentors he has ever had.
Yeah, I think he said that already. He's been begging to get on. It was Don Kraft, Charlie Gillis, and then you.
He got the 17-year-old Ty House, not the fully developed version that you get on these podcasts.
Sometimes I didn't know the 17-1 ever went away. I thought he's always been here.
But my favorite Brennan Jubb trivia question is, in our little neighborhood, we play a lot of sports, and he has won the tennis championship, the new pickleball championship,
Yep.
the golf championship. He's the only person to have won all three. He's the only person to have won, I believe, golf and tennis in the same year. So that's pretty amazing middle-aged athlete stuff. And on top of that, he's won the granddaddy of them all, the Sherwood Forest 3-on-3 basketball tournament, which is probably the most elite of all of them.
It is. It's almost like he's got the EGOT, the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and a Tony. He's got the Sherwood EGOT.
Yeah. Now,
he's really, done it all.
I saw a picture of you and me playing badminton today. And so I might put this out there, but I looked at the top podcasters. So you got Joe Rogan with his help with Jamie.
Yep.
You got whoever's helping Amy Poehler. You got the Smart List guys. I'm like, I think we could take them in the podcast Olympics.
Oh my God, yes.
So
my God, yes.
If we had swimming, tennis, badminton, 2-on-2 basketball, golf, if we could do 3-on-3 lacrosse, but we got to have one of our guests and Joe Rogan got to have one of his guests, we could pull out some pretty good guests in lacrosse that would destroy Joe Rogan, Jamie, and Graham Hancock.
Right. Right. No, I love that because I've seen Amy Poehler. She's got no backhand for tennis, so I think we could definitely take her.
How many goals? How many goals would T.J. Malone score on Joe Rogan?
Countless.
And he probably wouldn't. He'd probably be like, "Yeah, I'm busy that weekend," so we'd have to beg Jack Frack to come out of the net, or we just put Jack in the net and we'd shut him down.
Put Jack, that's. I mean, we can this thing. We can make it happen.
Could you make one? Could you play one more basketball game?
For the Olympics, absolutely. And maybe, who knows, since we've talked about it so much, maybe we get Junebug Sanders in there.
Yes.
I think that'd be great.
Okay.
All right, let's talk to our own Junebug, little Brennan Jubb. The professionalism jumps right out of the gates. House Calls a Podcast coming to you tonight with our special guest, our good friend, one of Ty's all-time favorite campers, one of my all-time favorite people. I've liked Jubber even post-camp. Ty stopped liking him in camp. But Mr. Brennan Jubb. Welcome, Jubber. Thanks for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, my goodness. Ty, are you nervous? I mean, was Jubber your original blue chip camper?
I would say Brennan was one of the blue chip campers, and he was there for the blue chip camper speech.
The legendary speech.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you've changed lives with that speech.
Yes. Brennan, what was the name of the kid who got his arm broken after the blue chip camper speech?
Pete Karacki, who we call Sweet Pete. His move was to show up in a 3-person sofa and sit in between two of you. So the verb to sweet Pete somebody still exists in Sherwood today.
He man-spreaded and got the sweaty legs on you.
He's a big boy.
You stay in touch with Sweet Pete.
No, I actually have no idea who he was, where he came from. And it's the only reason I remember this is because we talked about it a year ago, that Sherwood Camp couldn't have had wrestling right now because of all the waivers. And someone broke an arm.
Well, and the truth is, you guys were 13, 14. Everybody was acting up. Brian Klepper of our previous podcast guest gave an epic speech about how to be a good camper and grow up and be a good citizen. And then he challenged 12 to 15, 13-year-olds to take us on. And your only way to defend yourself is to take like Brennan or Billy Rule by the hands and swing him. And I, by mistake, swung him into Sweet Pete and broke his arm. And no one ever called us about it. Like the camp director, the parents, the grandparents, it was never mentioned. The kid just showed up in a cast the next day and did everything in a cast.
I know we've talked about HIPAA, but I don't know about statute of limitations on.
No, that was statute of limitations are way up on that. That was over 40 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if that one ever runs out.
Okay.
All right.
What are you doing now, career-wise?
Yeah. So I work for a firm called Big League Advantage. We are a data analytics firm, and it's all of our clients are sports based. So like either athletic departments, professional franchises, things like that. It's sort of where the firm has morphed to. I joined at a completely different time, but within that group, I'm an engineer. I build kind of the systems that make sort of the predictive modeling run and the analytics run. Anyways, yeah.
So when you joined it, it wasn't involved in sports. It was still involved in analytics.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen or heard, but a guy that I knew from Potomac playing platform tennis actually was a baseball pitcher in the majors, and he started a firm whose objective was to raise money and invest in minor league baseball players based on the theory that using predictive modeling, he could, and like sort of like deeper data, he could predict the outcomes of careers. And he would approach, let's say, middle tier minor leaguers and offer them money as like a venture capital model in exchange for, hey, if you make the majors, we will, you can pay us back with a percentage of your earnings there. But we're willing to invest in you upfront. We, our stuff says that you're going to be more successful than the 5 other shortstops ahead of you. We know you're not making any money. We know you can't work out and have a good diet because you're driving Ubers at night to get by in the minors. And that's how that started. And since then we have about 750 baseball players that we have invested in since then. So that's a massive part of our business as well.
So, and are you just going off their stats, or are you scouting them also?
Both. So, a lot of the players, like pop to us based on their stats. Like they appear, in lists and things like that. We have algorithms and sorting mechanisms for that. And then when it comes to things like pitching, I mean, Michael, the founder, was a pitcher. Like video is big for forecasting kind of injury, long term, like how long they can pitch for based on their motion, things like that.
Wow.
But as you know, like we're not the first ones. I mean, Moneyball was a movie about, hey, if you look at the deeper data, like, take out luck from the game. How is this guy's batting average? Would it be if he didn't hit, right to the guy every time? What's his exit velocity? What's his launch rate? All that kind of stuff.
And then what other sports has it expanded to?
From the investment side, we dabbled a little bit in football. It just came. The issue there was that NIL as a kind of a principle is a state by state managed ordeal, and it requires like a lot of legal presence for us. So that didn't work out well. But minor league baseball, it would go to other sports as well, like golf and things like that, where, you don't make a lot of money until you make it. But I think we've mainly just stuck to baseball from an investing perspective.
Interesting. And did you ever think about running any of those analytics back when they played married single softball? Did you run those at all?
Yeah, absolutely. We had Josh Walker coming out early, and we tried to get him, yes, and things like that. I
Yeah.
mean, we knew his
Flamed out. He flamed out, didn't he?
Yeah, well, it was a little hot early for him.
There was a lot of buzz. There was a lot of buzz, but he
Yes.
kind of, that was too bad.
How did you get to that point? Like what was your interest in analytics? Like, what was your major in college? Were you a math guy in high school? Like, how do you get to that point?
Yeah, so I mean, yes, I was a math guy in high school, and like you're not necessarily exposed when you grow up in the times we did. I'm 5 years younger than you all, but like math and maybe some computery stuff in high school. When I got to college, I took a intro to computer science class. First time I'd ever written any actual code, other than I wrote blackjack on my TI-82 in calculus class in high school.
Yeah.
But
Ty has no idea what any of that meant, so it's awesome.
It's a graphing calculator.
Yeah, Ty's like, was that in Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back? I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting because nowadays, like, I think you would go through high school and STEM being so big that people are exposed to programming at a much younger age, which is why I'm fairly old for my profession. I've worked at a number of companies. I've always just kept trying different places, different verticals. Worked in media, worked in advertising, worked in finance. And so most recently, before this, I had worked in finance doing analytics with them. And when I was, and that was an out of town job. And when I was approached locally to join this group, which interestingly, they were looking to expand their analytics into sports betting, which is why they approached me. They knew that I had been a bookie in high school. And at one point I had my locker raided and about $200 in single bills confiscated by John Stewart at Loyola High School.
Johnny Law.
Yeah. And just seemed to be a match.
So there's a couple of things. First of all, Brennan is another proud Loyola alumni.
Absolutely.
But I do want to wind this back to the episode with Chuck Baldecki, where he's the head of a school, and he was saying that nowadays industries are moving so quickly that you're really a liberal arts education is important. You're kind of creating your own brand. There was no way when you were in college that you knew that this industry was even going to exist. Like, how would you ever have predicted that you'd be analyzing whether Billy Ripken can make it to the majors?
I mean, legally.
Yeah.
No chance. You're right. And, even the things we learned, which like, I see things as, whenever I look at a problem, I'm always interested in how things are put together. I wasn't a Legos guy, but I was always like a, computer person, that could take my Nintendo apart and get the dust out in order to play 2 more seasons of Tecmo Bowl and then put it back together successfully. But, like you said, none of this, of the classes I took, nothing was as
So talk about what your clients are, and not the investment side, but the analytics side. Talk about what your clients are using your data for. They're scouting, they're recruiting, but do you guys sell any of this to the gambling sites that are out there now?
So we had about a 4-year stint where we were uh, professionally gambling, meaning like we had accounts with um, groups outside the country. We were incorporated in the Isle of Man, small rock in between Scotland and
Right.
Ireland, where betting as a like an LLC is legal. It's not legal here in the U.S.
Right.
And all of those systems were the original things I built when I joined, which was essentially like taking predictive output towards games and then synthesizing it with the betting market to come up with a strategy on how to make money, which was like basically every day you would wake up and build a portfolio of these 5 totals compared to the market in a baseball afternoon. We like these 3 MMA fights and these 2 tennis matches. So we did all of that. And, over 4 or 5 years, the swings were bananas. It was, I
Right.
mean, we'd be up $1 million in a day. We'd be down 5 million in a month, and then we'd end the year up, and you never knew. Trying to think, like the last time we bet professionally as a firm, 2023, 2024. And right around then, we were getting interest from universities to pair with their athletic department and provide analytics. So this is
Right.
sort of like right when the transfer portal became a thing, and there's a lot of data out there, and people were trying to say, how do we, rather than the athletes come to us, how do we go to them and find the ones we want? And it was about that time that we were working for Duke. I can give a few clients we work for in Alabama, and our board told us, like, I don't think the NCAA really wants the same data you're using for college athletes to be used towards making
Right.
money betting. So we kind of put that aside. Um, However, you mentioned this, Matt. Like we do sell predictive output still to some of the professional gamblers out there, and we just don't bet it. So that's still something we do.
Is it still baseball, or can you do basketball, football, that kind of thing?
In terms of, so for our basically our consulting side of our business, um, we will work with an athletic department. It's mostly basketball, honestly. I mean, we
Okay.
work with some baseball, but basketball was our first. We had basically constructed the roster for Alabama the year they made the Final Four. It was all transfers, right? So,
Okay.
Right.
um, and in the press conference after they beat North Carolina in the Elite Eight, their coach Nate Oates mentioned us,
Okay.
and within like 2 months, our phone was exploding. As a matter of fact, like uh, I remember I wasn't in the room for this, but the Texas Tech athletic department, the director calls us and says, our 2 biggest investors are in my office and they say, I need to hire you. I don't know who you are or what you do. Can you please explain to us why you'd be valuable? Um, and so, I mean, we end up working for them. We still do. And I mean, they've had we built their
Yeah.
football roster as well last
So,
year.
so to break it down for me, from like a basketball point, are you saying that for a team to win, the point guard needs to have this many assists and this many steals, and the power forward needs this many rebounds? Like, how does it work? Like on a
So do you kind of remember Moneyball at all? Did you guys see that
yeah, yeah,
movie? I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
can.
Yep.
Some of the lines in there ring true to me, which is essentially like, this is our roster, this is our style of play, right? We lost these
mhm,
2 guys. Who do we replace them with? Right. So like 2
okay,
guys graduated. Um, Alabama is a very interesting case for us because they only shoot 3-pointers and layups. They're not allowed to shoot twos. So they're essentially, we are going to get tall slashers who can rebound the ball and shoot threes. So
Ty, that's you.
that's exactly, we
I mean, I
we
don't
got Ty
pass.
House.
I know they,
Is
they
there
don't
role
want
for
that. They don't
people who
want
don't
that.
pass?
Matt, who else would fit that mold from the show? Maybe Craig Whiteford. I mean, can he
Craig
shoot the
Whiteford would be in
3?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not afraid to let it fly.
Roster construction would be, like, we need these 8 types of people. We're going to go find them. And then when you sort of blend that together with like how much money you have to pay them and how much they're worth on the open market, now this is becoming a puzzle that's very difficult to solve without computers.
When I looked you guys up online, the staff is big. Like, you guys got a lot of people on that website. Like, what are they all doing? Are they
So
all writing code or?
our data science team is large and very young, and yes, they're all sports fans, and yes, they're all writing code.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do have operations guys in baseball that are tackling probably the most difficult thing we do, which is collecting money from baseball players that
After
help
they-
us after they go
right.
to the Dominican and don't
Right.
come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my goodness.
And then, I guess most people you work with are a lot younger than you.
Yeah, specifically because I'm in the analytics department. We hire usually not right out of school, but after maybe folks have had they've taken advanced statistics and maybe they've interned or worked for a sports team.
Okay.
Right.
A lot of our guys either originate with a professional or a college. Yeah.
So you had a love of math and a love of coding, but
And
really
sports.
you had a love of sports, but you just got lucky that this is a sports job, right? Like you started it before they got into sports. Was I right there?
So I joined at a time when it was just baseball. Not a gigantic baseball fan. Was very excited to do something in sports because I do understand the data, even though I can't name nine. I can't half of our players. I don't really know. I mean, we've had some very very notorious ones. We had we were on 60 Minutes when Fernando Tatis Jr. signed a deal for $340 million, and then they eventually found out he owes us 34 of that. Because we had staked him with him 1.5, when he was 18, and now he owes us 10%.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
and when that became public, we were all over Twitter and what have you, and so our firm has been kind of in the news in and out since then.
And have you had your big Jerry Maguire moment, like where at the very end, and he's like, "Who did I forget? Who did he forget?" And he's like, "Jerry Maguire." Have you been like, "Brennan Jubb, you believed in me when nobody else believed in me"?
That may have happened. Wouldn't have been with me, but yeah, because our turnover on analysts has been high. Last year we had our number one basketball analyst left in the middle of the year, and then he's on TV 2 seats down from the Michigan head coach in the national championship game. Like they hired him right out of our firm.
So what is the future, the near future of this industry? I mean, I get there's probably a lot more competition than when you started.
Yeah, well, I mean, so we could take a guess about where college sports will end up.
What do you think? I think it's going in the wrong direction.
I think it's going in the direction where the money is, and I mean, essentially, it doesn't look good. It's not pretty. It's not. Nobody that's a traditionalist likes it, but
Right.
but I guess if the college ranks for the high level teams like the Dukes of the basketball of the world and the Alabama footballs were already the minor leagues for the pros, that it just looks a lot more like that now than it used to, and the front of the uniform doesn't mean anything. It's not great, but that's
Right.
kind of what's driving it is the size of
Yeah.
these salaries, and then we're all guilty for paying ESPN and paying for tickets.
Right. That is true.
It's also not just the revenue generating sports being football and men's basketball. It's going to affect the non-revenue generating sports because some of these big colleges, like say like a Michigan or Alabama, they're going to put all their money into football and basketball. And so in the non-revenue generating sports, some of these smaller schools might actually have a chance because the Princeton can now compete against the Penn State. Like you would have thought there's no way Princeton in like a sport like lacrosse will be able to compete with a Penn State 10 years from now because Penn State has all this revenue for sports. But now it might go the other way because Penn State might have to put every single dollar into their basketball team and their football team. Potentially.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, those are the sports that are suffering a bit. And can anyone tell me where is the UCLA Rutgers gymnastics match this year? Like, were we flying from New Jersey to California for that? I mean, who's paying for that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
My suggestion that I have mentioned before is I think you have your revenue generating sports. I think every other sport should be played more like high school where it's more like local. So like we're fans of lacrosse in this area. Why Maryland and Hopkins and Navy and Loyola and Towson, they can play each other over and over again. They should never get on a plane. Like just all sports should be local. So it's cheaper for the average students not supporting these non-revenue generating sports because the money's not going to be there anymore, but you can still have great athletic experience. But that's my
you're
2
not.
cents.
Okay, well,
All
thanks, Ty.
right.
Thanks for. And that's the medical minute with Dr. House.
But
Okay,
Yes.
Matt, 10 years from now, when we have Brennan back on, we're going to play back that clip and be like, oh, Ty was right. You know,
yeah.
why is the Maryland softball team traveling to California to play softball? It doesn't make sense. They can play somebody local and save
Speaking
money.
of softball, the softball, ladies softball in the Big 12 is a revenue generating sport. Did you know that?
Oh, it
That's
is.
right.
And
Wow.
they have a TV contract. They had a pitcher last year in the World Series that made $1 million.
They're always
sweet.
on ESPN after the
Yeah.
lacrosse games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you met the guy you work with playing paddle,
I did.
right? So we mentioned in the intro that you're a champion. You've won the neighborhood championship in golf, in tennis, in pickleball, and you've even won the most challenging of them all, the 3-on-3 basketball tournament. And now we find out that those are just hobbies compared to your main love is platform tennis.
I love platform tennis. Yeah.
Jubber, I said that you basically have an EGOT. You have the Sherwood EGOT. And we have to come up with a better, we might just call it the Jubber. For the career grand slam that you have, we might just call it the Jubber. And if you ever get platform tennis down here, you know what? That could just another place for you to dominate. What are your bowling skills like?
I think they're rubbish. I've actually thought about getting in there a few times, but I was the one that when we bowled, remember would you get 3 balls in the relay, and then I would run down and slide and tackle all the people.
So you're a perfect example of a multi-sport athlete. So tell us, like, how did you get into all these sports? Like, when did your love of sports develop, and then how did you get into all these sports that actually matter now that we're middle age?
Yeah, I mean, just not being inside, right? Coming home from school and wherever and being outside all day. And then I don't even remember summers in Baltimore where I grew up until about, age whatever. And then coming down here and being in Sherwood and never being inside and just playing sports all the time.
Are you the most athletic computer nerd there is? You've got to be. You've got to. In the calendar of computer nerd jocks.
Maybe 20 years ago. Maybe 20 years ago, but you should see these guys now. But I didn't. My favorite sports are always football and basketball, and I mean basketball was going nowhere. I love to play hoops, but football, I mean, I only played. They didn't have flag. We just played touch. There was no. They didn't really play a lot of tennis until I moved here. Ended up playing in college when I dumped lacrosse, but and then I don't know who learns on sand greens.
Where'd you go to
That's right.
college?
I went to Loyola, the old Loyola double, Charles
Okay.
Street to Charles Street. Yeah.
Just like Dan Baird.
Just like Dan Baird.
And did you played tennis at Loyola just like Leslie Baird?
I did.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I had no idea about this.
Have you just met? You just met.
I think we are just meeting. Now,
I'm embarrassed. Who's our research intern this summer that doesn't have that for you already?
well, here's my segue to the important stuff. Is you're still playing all these sports after a pretty serious medical issue. So since we have our basis in wellness, we want to hear about what went down with your health. How old were you? When did you start? Tell us all about it.
Yeah. Right. Actually, during a platform tennis, my now oldest son was probably 10 months. My wife at the time was 10 months pregnant. He was 2 months from being born, and just in a regular platform tennis game, hit an overhead and came down with like severe numbness and tingling for about 2 minutes, and went back out and played the match. And the next day, I was trying to convince myself I had like a pinched nerve or something because it was during an overhead, but it really didn't feel like that. When you were a kid, you ever take a 9-volt battery and lick it and
Yes.
it just stung? It felt like that. And that would proceed to happen a few more times. And then like I had an MRI scan that kind of revealed a spot on my head. And I remember that was, again, scary time because we're 2 months from having a child and no idea what this even means, and trying to figure out what to even do with that. That like I get this result from a doctor saying there's a spot on your brain in this scan, and the next thing you know, I've got like 9 people at my parents' house, all upset, and people offering doctors and God knows what. It's just a flurry of stuff. I really didn't know how to process it all. But I went through that. It took about 2.5, 3 years until, monitoring these scans until it started to look different, and I was kind of forced into having surgery.
So what was that like during those 3 years where it was just a wait and see? Like, how did you make it through that?
Yes, I mean it's a lot of a lot of the kid was born, another child was born. I mean, you just sort of, and then every 2 months you'd have another one of these sort of events that was a reminder that that was there, which is another one of these like I was in the third set tiebreaker in front of 30 people at Chevy Chase playing in the men's doubles club championship finals and had one of these where I had to take 5 minutes off the court and then come back on. I was driving 95 in Florida once and I had to pull over the side of the road. This just kept happening. So those little reminders were always like, something's there, something's there. I knew I was kicking the can down the road. I
Right.
didn't know. But I mean, talk about a nervy 3 years, right? I mean, everyone, there's advice from 900 different people on what to do, and there's nothing you can do.
And how old are you during this time?
36.
Okay. And then the advice, is this from doctors or is this like, "Oh, you should be
Eh,
doing this you should be doing this crazy thing." Like, were you getting everything?
So
Like,
no, exactly. Mainly from doctors, but more also from friends. As a matter of fact, the doctor, my oncologist to this day, who's one of my favorite people, was introduced to me through, I believe, Peter and Julie, um, a Hopkins girl herself, who I think knows Julie a little bit, and um, was the first one I met with up there that she's not a neurosurgeon or anything like that, but she's a neuro-oncologist, and I still see her today. And just like she wouldn't give me more advice other than wait, but people would come tell me I need other doctors and this, that, the other opinions and
Right.
whatnot. And there was really
uh,
nothing other than her opinion to me. The way she described wait and see made it feel comforting. And,
okay.
yeah.
And then, obviously, it's in an area that they didn't want to biopsy. Is that right?
So it's always an option.
Okay.
The sort of like the transient kind of nature of these seizures was that like I had numbness on my face and hand. They kind of knew it, and like the scan revealed it was right off my motor strip. So it was in an area, right side, so affecting left side, and couldn't get too much worse other than we'd have to act because yes, it is near something that would either could cause. They didn't know, right? Because when it's near a motor strip, you're talking about sight, breathing, strength, the whole 9 yards. So anything like that,
And then
right?
what changed that it was go time with surgery? What
So
changed?
the scan and these things are, the resolution on these things are such that you can't really tell what's what, but the scans revealed it was getting a little bit bigger. There was no extra frequency in the sort of like seizure events I was having, but so, it was clear it was going to have to happen. And it was a matter of like, do you want it to happen on your terms or do you want someone to tell you when to do it? And, I just kind of, it took a few months, but then I was just like, we're going to do this. And, they had picked out a surgeon, and I met with him, and this guy's like fresh off hella skiing, just complete wild ass, and came in there and I was like, oh my God. And was like, you'll be totally fine. X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay. Uh, and then, it just like, you go in there, you walk out, and then he calls you the next day, and they want to schedule it for like 3 days later. You're like, whoa, I'm gonna need a week
Yeah,
to
yeah,
process
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, can I get it in between my last paddle match and maybe my,
Right.
like the
Right.
Terps have a home game here. I got to figure something out.
And during this
The
period, like,
money line
you're
is too
getting
good.
I can only compare it to my podcast co-host who he had nerve surgery and he was a complete basket case. Like, he was calling me literally 3 times a day crying about it. And he was
HIPAA,
and
HIPAA.
you signed a HIPAA waiver for all of our audience. So he had a very important nerve in the hand that was having a problem that got fixed. Uh,
Yeah.
I but in all seriousness, you're getting your brain operated on. Were you like, "This could be it?" Like, was this like, kiss your mom and dad goodbye, your kids, you're thinking it could be it, or were you confident, like, "I'm in the right place, I'm gonna be okay?"
When you went in for the surgery, your kids are 4 and 2?
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
4 and 2. I mean, you've been married 5 or 6 years at the time. I mean, your whole world's right in front of you, and you're like, "Okay, this daddy's going for a
Yeah.
little tune-up here."
didn't know. And it was basically told we could be ultra aggressive with this, and it's small percentages, anything could go wrong. And I was like, well, whatever. What could go wrong? And nothing really sounded. At my age, they said just the recovery would be hard if something went wrong. And I said, you know what, fine. I'm 36, and they went very aggressive. I don't know if that means like the spoon they scooped with was bigger, but they went very aggressive. And I can just remember being wheeled into this room, and I think I probably have PTSD, but essentially, I had been in 9 different hospital rooms over the last month before this, and this one is the brightest room you've ever been in, and you're laying on your back, and there is a gigantic circular saw hanging down from the ceiling. Just thinking to myself, like, that's for me? Like, that's and then next thing you know, you're out cold, right? So like I was just like, huh? But so aggressive it was. I suffered a stroke during the surgery, so rather than waking up with what we had predicted would be like some strength and issues in my hand and maybe a different kind of look on a smile or something like that, I also had no feeling in my leg and I couldn't move it at all. So that was kind of it was like a whole left side went dark for a while, which was not predicted.
And how long was it out for? For days or months or?
No.
Yeah. It was about 3 to 4 weeks before I could move a hand. Anything. I remember I have a video of the first time my thumb moved. I still have it on my phone. And I had to be transported to a place to learn to walk again, which took a while because I had stairs in my house. I couldn't go home. So I thought I'd be in a hospital for a few weeks. I was in there for a few months. I checked myself out the day before the Ravens Super Bowl. When they play, so 2013, right? This is 2013.
Yeah.
And just was like, I'm not watching another game. I had already watched the Flacco to Jacoby Jones and whatever in the hospital with my dad, and I was like, I'm going home for this one. So I had surgery in early January. I was home by it was 6 weeks.
Okay.
Something like that.
And then you had a pretty long rehab. What were you doing? It was for years that you were rehabbing?
I mean, I'd say there's really no end to it. For it's just like you would have these plateaus. Okay, all of a sudden I can get up the stairs on my own, not with railings and whatnot, and then the next something I could do on my own would take a year. And it was just kind of frustrating, but very slow. A lot of like, isometric exercises where you're just pushing shit against walls and trying to build up some strength, and then you would move to bands. There was no weight or just like movement. Like you go to a PT session and they're lifting your arm over your head for an hour, just trying to lubricate the joint back so you can shampoo yourself. Things like that.
But it's 14 years later, you're still making improvements, right? Like I saw you running a couple weeks ago, and I feel like I hadn't seen you running before.
I can run. Yeah, my gait is kind of messy. It does hurt. It does. I run, you saw me running, I would probably do, like the high intensity running where it's like 4 minutes of running, 3 minutes of walking. It does wear on my hip, just because of the like, I would call it like my ability to absorb the shock of the road on the left side is nil, and where, I just pound it. So it hurts after a little bit.
But you see you running or walking, I don't see any signs like I did a couple of years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. I feel like every year it looks like you're getting stronger.
Hell, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday I did 6 games of pickle in the mixed doubles. I played 9 in the 9 and dime. Then Bodie and I played in the intermediate father-son for 4 sets. And I walked off the court and 3 people asked me why I was limping. And that's just my gait.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I mean, at some point I'm going to wear down, and I get, it does show up in those instances. I can't balance on one leg. I do a ton of yoga as well. I'm not necessarily I don't have a lot of time, but I can't do balance or tree on my left side, for example, without kind of holding on. And it's like I've set that goal for myself in a year so many times, and I just can't do it. I still want to try it. There's so many other things to try, but that's one of them where it's like but how many one-legged squats can I do or whatever? I do so much stuff in there to try to get it better. It is getting better. I do feel stronger even as I'm 50 this year, and um, I feel more confident that I'm not going to hurt myself, even though I'm told to be very careful. For like, I can't play basketball. I have fear for what that would do to my lateral mobility, but I do play squash. I
Yeah.
mean,
So you're still playing golf, all the racket sports, you're working out, and your balance is still not normal, right? Like,
it's like 70-30. If you ever watched, not that anyone would want to watch me play tennis, and I've been asked this. I have to put a ball in my right pocket in between. I can't get anything out of my left pocket. I can't feel anything with my hand. I couldn't turn off a light switch with it. I don't know where it is. If you rub Velcro on my arm, I couldn't tell if it was the soft side or the prickly side. It's just a lot of stuff over there doesn't really respond.
and so
Crazy.
when you're beating people in pickleball, do you let them know all this, or do you keep it a secret so they're not
Yeah,
embarrassed?
it's a great equalizer, pickleball,
Yeah.
right?
It
Very
really
small,
is.
very, very small court.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Your cat-like reflexes are still there, so you're doing a-okay. So you get through this. When is your first like, aha, I'm back? Like, really, I'm back. Not just I'm walking upstairs, but I'm back to playing golf with my friends. I'm winning some stuff. When
Couple
was
of
that?
them. I mean, I have a few. I have a lot of these like moments that I can remember. One of them being um, finishing walking 18 with carrying my bag. That was number
Yep.
one, where it was like, oh my god, I did that. I and like I'm not one to have be moved to tears, but if
Right.
that was one of those moments where I didn't know if that was going to be a thing.
Yep.
And um, I suppose maybe probably about 2017, 2018. Somehow I got the nerve up and played singles tennis again here, and I never thought I would do that because, like I mentioned,
Right.
I can fall walking. I can my left toe doesn't lift up. I could clip and a sidewalk and fall. So like playing tennis was very made me very nervous. The singles made me extremely nervous. It still does. So I did that once, and that was a bit of a moment, just getting through some matches.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love those. I love those. Those are those are your personal ahas, your personal wins that are motivating to yourself and know those around you. Because I've talked to your friends, I've talked to Murr, I've talked to your guys, and they get choked up when they talk about seeing you back out there. Like never thinking they were going to see that again. So it's so cool for all that. But you get through all this, then all of a sudden your life takes another little turn, and you somehow meet Aaron. Let's talk about that.
Hmm. Sure. So,
I mean,
um,
was that a good day? Is that a bad day?
well, you've met Erin, right? I
I
mean,
yeah, that's what I'm
yeah,
asking.
it's the greatest day. I'm,
Absolutely.
I told a small fib on my dating profile that I was 5'10", and she,
Pre-surgery.
yeah, right. I mean, I'm 5'9", but and I had been using these whatever apps for a few years, and
Wait a
I
minute,
had
can I interrupt here? If
yeah,
you're
please go ahead.
5'9", what is that? You're pretty tall. What does that make? I would have thought you were like 5'11". If you're 5'9", is Matt 5'3"? Like, you tower over Matt. Okay, carry on.
The hair.
Carry
It's the
on.
hair.
That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, it's exactly. I wear a lot of hats. I don't know. Anyways, I never really used Bumble, right? So this is one of these ones where uh the woman has to initiate anything, so you can't like swipe on her, whatever. So you're just out there, and the woman picks who she wants to chat with,
Uh-huh.
and
Right.
and I have a photo in there of me, and one of them's like it's like me holding my daughter Georgia when she's 1, 'cause you gotta have these little tear jerkers like that. And one
Sure.
of them is me at the Sherwood Pool. And so
Right.
Erin, and she'll tell this, but better, but like she sees a picture of the Sherwood Pool and crops it and sends it to Allison Boyer Dunn, who is her best friend from high school,
Oh, wow.
and says, "Is that the Sherwood Pool?" And Alice goes, "Oh my God, that's Brennan. I grew up with him,
Uh-huh.
and it's like you have to go out with him." And so a day later we went out, and this is the last day of school of COVID, before literally the next day the schools were closed. So we go out to this restaurant, not knowing basically the world's
Right.
about to grind to a halt. Um, And she walks in, and I jump out of the stool to say hello, and I'm like, this is not going to work. She's got the heels on. She's like, she's my height without the heels. And she looks disappointed. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I shouldn't have said anything about the 5'10". I'm going to get busted. It's embarrassing. But I know we have this little connection that we know. So maybe that'll sort of smooth it over. And I mean, who knew? Like, it turns out that my charming ability to quote every single Seinfeld episode, I can walk Fletch and Three Amigos back and forward, just seemed to be exactly what she was looking for.
And she didn't even put that on her profile. I mean, that's the thing that's the best.
Isn't really that the greatest skill in dating is being able to quote 80s movies? I mean, really?
So her profile said...
Unless you're dating today, I don't think it carries.
My profile said my whole repertoire is lifted when it said, and meaning that like I quote everything. And hers said my favorite thing to do is go to Bed Bath & Beyond, but I usually don't have time. So I kind of knew she had a little bit of a movie thing going on there too.
And then you are now like the Mike Brady. You're bringing two families together. Mike Brady is a 70s reference. I hope you go that far back.
Yeah, well, a lot of people use that reference when they talk about us.
Tell us about the serious stuff of bringing these two families together.
She has two children, as you know. So we have 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. We had like alternate custody schedules. So when you know, like we would have these weeks where neither of us have our children, we started to see each other a lot more. And then, you know, you finally get around to introducing everybody. And we actually ended up moving in together before, you know, essentially what that meant was like for 4 days, my kids would live with Erin. For 4 days, her kids would live with me. And then for like 2, they would all live together. And that was sort of a slow burn into what it's like to have 5 kids. But things change, the kids get older. She now has full custody of her children. And, you know, my guy's 16 and he's going to have a car soon and he goes where he wants. So like they all know each other. My daughter and her daughter are like share a room and are very tight, like the sisters. They fight like sisters. It's adorable. And then her youngest is a boy, and Xander and Georgia. They're tight as well. So it's nice.
I love it.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
great.
Yeah,
that is great. Jubber, as I've said before, you are a walking Netflix series, dude. You are a walking Netflix documentary. In the best way possible, not a true crime one, but one of the good ones. I love it.
So what's your next sport you're going to take up? What's your old man sport going to be?
What do you think? I mean, should we go to padel court on the volleyball? I mean,
let's go.
I'm just a rackets guy, so that would be where I would. Actually, you know, I picked up swimming, which was interesting. I just came with a way to sort of a PT exercise blend. I joined what was called a master's class. And I just had to swallow the fact that while everybody was doing hundreds, I was doing like 50s or 75s. But I picked up swimming, and now I can go to the pool and like get in a 45-minute workout that I kind of know what I'm doing, which I was a horror. I don't think I swam when I was in your group in camp. I think I sat out.
Everybody swam. TOD would try to not swim, and I'd throw them in back when you were allowed to throw them in, but everybody swam on my watch.
Do you remember?
You were a good swimmer. You just weren't Lee Murray, James McIntyre, Sean Britton swimming level, but you were still better than most of the people in the world.
Well, you're comparing me to Jamie Marquardt.
Yeah. And Speedo McIntyre.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But
beats
you were a great swimmer. And Matt, do you remember who was on his 3-on-3 basketball team when they won the championship? I just remember
Jubber. Jubber.
I thought you had a poster of the whole team on your room, shirtless. Jubber, do you remember who was your team when you won the championship?
I'm going to throw a Scott Graham in there.
Scotty Graham.
Very, very difficult to guard with his shirt off. Very, very, very slick.
Slippery.
And I kind of want to say a Tommy Whiteford. I felt like we had a big guy.
Wow.
But it could have been Sean Britton. It was one of the two. A lot of rebounding, a lot of elbows.
You just stayed outside and just draining threes. I love it.
Yeah, just chucking.
I think we have the vintage records. Let me look it up. No, it was me. It was not Tommy Whiteford. It was me.
So, have you ever taken part in the name your favorite 3-on-3 where everyone has to have the same first name?
So I have
Greatest
with
team ever.
you. And what is your 3?
Well, I mean, I do love Dave Carroll, Dave Luxick, and Dave Strajek, but I tend to lean Charlie Helfrich, Charlie Gillis, and Charlie from the store.
Yeah, that's
like
the
that.
strongest one. That can't be beat. That was the one that you cannot
Well,
be beat.
you got Brennan Jubb, Brennan McCarthy, and Brennan Herring is a solid team.
Not bad.
I mean, are we going you in your
that's-
prime before your brain surgery where you could be the ball handler?
I wish yeah.
Okay.
I think we have to. Yeah.
We got Matt Lewandowski, Matt Waldron, and who would be your third Matt?
Matt Mylander.
Matt Mylander set all kinds of records of windsurfing that we don't have here.
Yeah.
We got to get them back.
Exactly.
But I got to tell you a Matt Mylander story. So Ann and I have been married for a year, and we are going on our first anniversary date, and we're going to take the boat to downtown Annapolis. But we had appetizers, and we were going to stop at Robin Hood Beach and eat our appetizers and have a beer or a glass of wine. And there's a football on the beach. So we put our stuff down, and I go, "Hey, Ann, catch." So I pick up the football. "Hey, Ann, catch." It was going to be a one-pass thing. Matt Mylander jumps off her bike and says, "Hey, can I play catch with you guys?" So Ann and I played catch on our first anniversary with Matt Mylander in a triangle for about 15 minutes because we couldn't tell her that it was a one-pass deal.
But you were telling her to run button hooks. You're like, all right, I want you to run down 5, then hang a left. When you get to the water fountain, button hook. I got you. Oh my God. Jubber, thank you so much. You are let me think of the right way to say this. You are a solid dude, but you are so humble about what you've gone through. You'll talk about it, but you got to pull it out of you. And for people that know and watch from afar, it's inspirational, and you are just the best. And I look forward to seeing you and look forward to seeing what's coming up next for you, brother. You deserve all the happiness that you have, and I'm very excited for you.
I appreciate it, guys. Keep your fingers crossed for me. I'm still, I still got a ways to go.
I know you do, but you're doing it. So keep it up.
Thank you.